softball.
So do those, I mean, could the state come after us for those being
They're outsourced
funded outside of the, no?
I don't know. I think though that we kind of tackled that one earlier with the conversation about drafting a joint resolution that would be directed to the legislature and well timed because December is just before they're heading south to Juneau. Ms. Zalatel?
Thanks. And Ms. Brawley is the head of our legislative committee, or the chair, but if we can get that resolution done and it's passed, then I would really recommend that we include it in our legislative package. We know you all go and do your advocacy as well. But our legislative package is joint between the administration and the assembly. And so it'd be really great to have that kind of stamp of approval moving forward. And we haven't in the past included really any school-based priorities in our legislative package.
If I might, I think the timing of that is November is the intent, or is it December, the legislative action of Ms. Brawley?
So we have to pass it by December 10th per the code. And so we were aiming for November to have it done earlier and we're really working to get the broad priorities and the content earlier. So it's not that it'll just get written right at the end. But I think there is some room. So we should, maybe the working group with the resolution could talk about that. But I think also the legislative program, we can still, say that we find that this is a priority and then the specifics could still be in that separate resolution. Cause there's plenty of other things that we've passed support for in resolution that would go into more specifics than the ledge program. So I think we can make the timing work.
Right. So do we have a date for the December meeting?
The 8th.
It's the 8th. So there will be an opportunity to adopt a final package before that final deadline, whether or not we go that far. But what we can also do when you're working through the process is include legislative services to ensure whatever product is coming forward is formatted in a manner that it fits within the context of the main document. I think that's really savvy. So
But the committee would need to meet between now and November to do our work.
Yes, and then get back with a very final version for the December 8th meeting before the December 10th final vote. Plus, while the work is going on, work with the formatting teams because we have a specific package we put forward. So anyone else on legislative affairs? Legislative package update? Okay, no, early childhood bond or child care bond. That says Muni. I don't know who that is.
Passport?
Ms. Zalato.
Maybe Ms. Brawley could provide the same update from sheet that you gave yesterday at rules, because I think that's what that's in reference to.
Yeah, thank you. And if I remember correctly, we gave an update, but so we did move a little bit further along. So this is on the Proposition 14 implementation, the use of marijuana tax funding for early childhood. And that is going to not exclusively deal with, ASD pre-K. It's to be determined. But where we are now, there is a working group. It's myself, Mr. Perez-Verdia, and Mr. Cross, and we are working closely with the Alaska Children's Trust and other kind of community partners, many of whom who were involved in the ballot measure. And where we are right now is the Alaska Children's Trust is going to be taking on the initial piece of work from an outside party's perspective, which is helping us understand, what is the system now? Where are the gaps? What are some of the best practices? What are plans that already exist that we should be thinking of? Basically giving the context and starting to build that understanding of the information that we need for that accountability board to make recommendations to the assembly for funding. So that's going to continue through the rest of 2023 and into 24. And then in FY24, we've been working to figure out if and how we can access some of the initial, a small amount of the marijuana tax funding, because it will start moving into this new dedicated account January 1st. And so the long-term intent is the board makes the broad recommendation for that budget, the assembly passes it. But in the meantime, we're going to access some of that funding to be able to conduct basically a public and community process, engaging with all of the stakeholders around what it should look like, the composition of the board, looking at the work that the Children's Trust and others are going to produce. So really, we're looking to start that part of the process in 2024. And so we're working, gearing up to get us set up for that. And as I said before, I know there's a lot of interest in this beyond the three of us and the Open Meetings Act restrictions. And so we're also really paying attention to and building in opportunities for all of us to participate, in public forums as well as working with the community. So that's where we're at. So really look for that in 2024. And then the goal is to get the accountability board, the enabling ordinance passed, and then the board stood up in summer of 2024. So that's the timeline.
All right. So anyone else on that topic? I don't see anyone. We'll move on into the final items on our agenda. We have member comments. We'll start with Mr. Donnelly.
The financial formula was drafted back in 1996, and it needs updated. Both the district cost differential, and since that time, there's been a lot of impacts upon our urban communities that were not as significant back then, namely school security. And I'm very concerned about that there be appropriate funding provided to urban districts for security, where a lot of those issues don't exist to the same extent in the rural areas, and transportation. And we get hit the hardest on transportation shortage. It's just an essential in the Anchorage community that proper transportation be provided to our families. And there's not an adequate amount of money in the formula for that. So yeah, we can work really hard and lobby for specifics. I think we as a community should identify the targets that we're most concerned about and advocate for those reforms. The formula has held up well for 30 years. But nobody else has stepped forward like we did back in 1996 and managed to achieve a major rewrite. There's been some minor tweaks. Those are great, but it was never think that it would just last for 30 years without being, significantly adjusted for the times that occurred. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And on the phone, can we have Member Jacobs?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to briefly express appreciation for the Assembly's partnership and collaboration and support of public education. It was correctly pointed out that school board work right now isn't something that's without challenge, and supporting our administration is something that's continually made more difficult due to lack of resources from the state level. With that said, our jobs would be infinitely harder as a board if we didn't have the current level of collaboration and cooperation and support from the Anchorage Assembly. So I appreciate these meetings. I appreciate the chance to work with some amazing leaders in the community that are online and in the room there, and I'm looking forward to further partnership. So appreciate everyone. Thank you for the meeting today.
Thank you. And I will note just for folks that we have a couple more items on the agenda and approximately 11 minutes left in the meeting. Mr. Johnson on the phone.
No comment at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rivera.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate these opportunities to collaborate, and really want to welcome our student representatives from both the school board and the assembly. Thank you all for being here. I hope that you continue to attend these meetings. And then looking forward to working with the working group on that resolution. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Brawley.
No comment. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson. 2 thumbs up. Ms. Lessons.
Looking forward to ongoing collaboration and support of all of our students.
Mr. Higgins.
Always got to say something. First of all, I still, made this comment before. I remember when the relationship between the assembly and school board was not like this. In fact, one budget where the assembly said, if you don't do it our way, we're going to cut your budget and you're going to keep the superintendent that we didn't want, and all that. And that was back in the early 90s, and resulted in recalls and all kind of problems. This type of collaborative cooperation that's taking place is just benefits kids. It helps a lot. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's participating in this process because it's helping kids. I just comment on the career, approach. There's two comments. One is I still can't help but get out of my mind listening to one or two people that created AI and his forecast of what's going to happen in the future and being at the National Human Resources Conference and saying the next 2 years is going to be hell for you. Because we're going to have people changing jobs everywhere. It's going to be unreal. Now, I don't know if Congress is going to put the brakes on that is because, you got Stephen Hawking saying it's one of 10 ways that we may cease to exist. AI. So there's a little bit of interest there, but we're going to go through some dramatic changes. And so, I think about Brown University when I went through all the Ivy League schools, visiting places. In the first 2 years, they wouldn't let kids focus on a career. Everything is you got to do critical, you got to do certain classes, but everything else is elective. So when you make your decision, you make it right. And so to the degree that we can expose kids to all the options that are out there, we're doing what Brown University pushed, and that is make sure you make the right selection before you go forward. I started off in petrochemical engineering. It would have been good for a counselor to tell me you had to go through 3 calculus before I changed my career. It was a bad decision, but I just really think we have a lot to gain out of the career, type of pathing that we're doing for kids. It will change their future. They're going to change jobs, career fields many times in their career because of AI. So that's what I'm shooting for.
We have to move on. We got 7 minutes left. Ms. Zalatil.
Thank you. I would just say on the career academies, get the kids excited about it. When they come home excited, then the parents will be excited and you'll get that community buy-in.
Mr. Cross.
I concur, and I'd also, Kevin Cross, I would like to see us continue to invest in the trades. If it wasn't for, I was not a good high school student, but I did widely successful when I started working with my hands and got out of high school. And so a lot of children out there, they're kinesthetic learners. They learn by doing, not by sitting and listening. And they end up being problem children in the classroom, but they are magnificent benefits to our society when we let them use their creative minds towards construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Ms. Braga.
On the pass?
Mr. Martinez.
I just wanted to say alignment is a good thing. I appreciate Member Donnelly's point about the urban security. And for me, Anchorage is the urban jewel of the last frontier. And to be that, we need to invest in public education.
Mr. Pack.
I'll keep this brief, but I had the honor to sit with the student panel for the AASD Mental Health and Safety Summit yesterday. And a lot of the concerns that were brought up, including inadequate resources from a lack of funding and mental health problems, and also that were brought up today and directly addressed by ASD in conjunction with the Assembly. And I'm just very thankful for that. And I will update on that on the next school board meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Terrell.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good ideas. There's a lot of bright minds here. It's a bright future for our students, and I'm excited and a little saddened that I won't be there to see it to fruition.
Ms. Bellamy.
Come back.
I just want to say thank you again for an opportunity for us to collaborate, together. And I appreciate our students being here. And our next meeting is on Tuesday. So if you want to listen in, please listen in.
And I will reserve my comments, but to say I'm sorry I had to be rough on time, but the assembly was not prepared to start at the top of the hour. We missed 10 minutes, so I'm sorry. And now we have public comment. There's an opportunity if any member of the public wishes to be heard. Oh, he's not a member, but we'll give him the last. Anyone at all? Okay, so now, Member Bryant, you have a couple minutes. You want to give us anything?
I'll just echo the sentiment shared. We really value the collaboration. Thanks for the engagement and all that you do.
All right. So any students out there? I don't see or hear any members of the public who wish to be heard. We have our next meeting on, I'm told, the 8th of October, our next joint meeting, or December, I'm sorry, 8th of December. And any last comments from anyone around the table? Ms. Braga?
So is there a single person in charge of getting us together for this?
So I've asked our clerk and a member of the school district staff to help coordinate. And I don't know, it's up to you.
You take the names on.
And then the names on the committee are, it's, Ms. Brawley, Mr. Rivera, Ms. Bronga, Ms. Lessons, Mr. Jacobs, Ms. Bellamy. So, I think
Chair?
I'll figure it out. Ms. Brawley.
I would suggest we target our first meeting in October.
I suggest you all target your first meeting in October and get back to us. And so with that, I would say we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. In the assembly, we have a meeting at 12:30.
Good job.
Thank you.